Hey everyone, I'm Chrisley Ceme. I serve as a fractional chief revenue officer and specialize in building high performance outbound systems that drive pipeline without necessarily compromising your email deliverability. And that's what I kind of want to speak to today. Some 4 points around email deliverability specifically. Over the past years, I've helped different B2B and SaaS companies unlock seven-figure revenue streams through clean infrastructure and just having a smart go-to-market strategy. Um, so getting into the specifics around the email sendability and deliverability, I wanted to talk about this is definitely something to look into. If your emails aren't landing in inboxes or if you feel like all your emails are landing in spam and things of that nature. So getting started with the first point is you really want to make sure your infrastructure is correct from the start. Obviously, if you've already started, we have to go back in time. Not can't go back in time, but we can go back and fix things. So it's not the end of the world. But for anybody who's just looking to get this going, before you send a single email, you definitely want to make sure you're not sending these emails from your main domain. Ideally, you want to either, if you're starting small or starting off, probably want to just get some different domains, make sure they're aged for a while. Typically, at least I like to say age them for at least 90 days or so. But if your list isn't that big and that large, 30, maybe 45 days should be fine to start. But yeah, you want to have those dedicated sending domains for those. Make sure you're warming those inboxes properly, authenticating all your like DMARC, DKIM, SPF records, which this all sounds daunting, but it's not as daunting as it sounds. And once you kind of configure those, you should be set. This may be something you'll want to be doing for each of your sending domains. Also, with the warming, you just want to make sure that you're properly warming these emails so that when you get that new domain, you're not just automatically starting to send, 100 emails a day or anything like that. You want to start small and continuously monitor the results and then systematically ramp up the sending per day. Then from your actual contact list itself, you want to make sure you're segmenting your funnel for different email purposes. And so this goes to making sure that not every email you're sending should come from the same domain or for the same inbox. So let's say, for example, you're reaching out to your cold audience initially. That may come from one mailbox from one domain, and then maybe your nurture campaigns or re-engagement campaigns to kind of reach out to people who maybe showed some sign of interest, but right then and there wasn't the time or whatever the case may be. You want to send that from another mailbox. This way, you're not bifurcating any of the results. And on top of that, you can closely monitor the health of each mailbox and domain separately so that you know if one thing is kind of going poor, it's not going to affect the other thing. So think of basically separation of church and state. Then we get into making sure you want to have as clean data as possible, depending on where you're getting your list from. Yes, there are some sources like your Zoom Infos, Apollo.ios, and some others where they do have like a little tab that says, hey, verified emails only. I personally would not solely rely on that tab. You'd want to potentially either export that list and then use tools like Never Bounce or Bright Verify to scrub those lists to help further reduce those bounce rates prior to sending those emails. This is very crucial because with everything that we're going to talk about and everything that you do, there'll always be a percentage of emails that fall in spam. That's just part of the game. Sometimes it's because of things that is on the recipient's email side of things that's making those things fall in spam. Has nothing to do with you. But by cleaning these lists prior to sending, you're going to help mitigate and reduce the amount of emails that are landing in spam and therefore keeping the integrity of your domain and its reputation. And lastly, as I kind of got into a little bit earlier, you want to be testing, monitoring, and optimizing constantly. This is not something where it's like, hey, you set up a couple email sequences, you hit go, and then you just let it go. You want to be looking at these things at least once a week or so. I'd say probably in the beginning, maybe even a little bit more, so that you're seeing, hey, are people, replying to these emails? Are people replying back to me saying that these emails are landing in spam at a constant rate? If you're not really getting any results, like no replies, no nothing, no click throughs, you'll definitely want to be adjusting your copy, adjusting the cadence, because all that can have a negative impact on your overall deliverability. I didn't get into it too much now, but you also want to be sending warming emails simultaneously with all this. You can think of warming emails in the most basic terms as they're not really dummy emails, but for the purposes of this conversation, yes, dummy emails that are technically being opened so that it's helping control your sending ratios, so that when Google or Microsoft, whomever you're sending from, is reviewing everything through their algorithms, they see, oh, okay, it's not like you sent 200 emails and 200 emails were unopened. That's an immediate sign to them that, hey, this is a spammer. And so those warming emails are very important. And then, like, once your systems are in place and you're actually seeing some success, that's when you'll want to then actually quickly even remove sending from Google. That's a whole nother process where you can get into using, something like SendGrid and things of that nature for each part of email you kind of take over. That's work you have to do to make sure everything is consistently working. And that gets a little bit more complicated, to be honest with you, but that's when you can reach out to people like myself or some of these other organizations, senders.co to name one, that can assist you with that type of setup, so that you don't have to do that. You can just kind of focus on the strategy and ensuring that you're maximizing your sendability and maximizing return and people replying. So with that being said, if you have any additional questions, feel free, give me a shout. Love to kind of gain some insights into what you're doing and see if I can assist you in any way. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.